John Owens was an avid hunter and enjoyed being in the woods. He decided to go into the Wisconsin wilderness with friends in November, and he encountered something unbelievable when he checked the traps. As he inspected his coyote traps, he saw a bigger creature than he anticipated. The group was utterly shocked when they saw it, and the event changed their lives. While it isn't easy dealing with wounded animals, this was worse because it wasn't what they hoped to trap. What did they end up doing with the scary creature they found within the woods? The day began like all others for John Owens. He went out to inspect his traps, but he had no idea that he might find something else. Instead of a coyote, he saw a huge timber wolf that wanted to get free of its bonds. John realized he couldn't abandon this wolf. The animal might die of exposure. Still, this trap had no teeth, allowing it to catch small creatures. In a sense, it was like handcuffs, so the wolf couldn't escape without help, and John was left to figure it all out. Coyotes and wolves aren't hurt by the trap, but they aren't happy once they get free. Lone wolves rarely attack humans, but a trapped one is often mean. Therefore, if John got it out, he had to be careful because the animal might not realize he was only there to help. Timber wolves are on the endangered species list, so the federal government doesn't allow them to be killed in Wisconsin. Therefore, John might see the inside of a jail or pay a fine if the animal was shot and killed. Could it really be a timber wolf, though? Sometimes it's hard to tell the differences between these animals, though wolves are often bigger. One friend questioned the animal's identity, wondering if John got it wrong. They all began arguing, but John eventually realized it was a timber wolf because of the markings and size. Knowing that this was a timber wolf didn't make John happy. In a sense, it was like handcuffs, so the wolf couldn't escape without help, and John was left to figure it all out. Coyotes and wolves aren't hurt by the trap, but they aren't happy once they get free. Lone wolves rarely attack humans, but a trapped one is often mean. Therefore, if John got it out, he had to be careful because the animal might not realize he was only there to help. Timber wolves are on the endangered species list, so the federal government doesn't allow them to be killed in Wisconsin. Therefore, John might see the inside of a jail or pay a fine if the animal was shot and killed. Could it really be a timber wolf, though? Sometimes it's hard to tell the differences between these animals, though wolves are often bigger. One friend questioned the animal's identity, wondering if John got it wrong. They all began arguing, but John eventually realized it was a timber wolf because of the markings and size. Knowing that this was a timber wolf didn't make John happy. John wanted a good look at it, stepping forward. However, he knew there could be no mistakes if they wanted to free the wolf fast. A little time had passed since they found the wolf, but it seemed like an eternity to John. He couldn't be patient and calm because it wasn't your average hunting problem. Overall, he knew it wasn't likely to be easy, which is why the plywood and gun were needed. When his dad returned, John put the plan in motion. He picked up the plywood, using it as his shield. While all that happened, his friend filmed everything. His dad was also available to fire the gun if the wolf decided to attack. They were prepared but scared. John didn't feel comfortable that his dad had the rifle because he could still die before the shot rang out. The wolf could flee or attack when freed, and they couldn't predict what he might do. John inched closer and closer all the while. His dad was a reassuring sight for him. If the animal jumped, the rifle could stop him. However, there was no time like the present. John looked at his friend for moral support, deciding that now was when the action started. The plywood had a notch in it, so they wanted to put that past the wolf's grasp. From there, they could lower the wood over his paw. Overall, the notch was a perfect fit, but the wolf didn't like it and started biting at the wood, ready to strike them down. Now, it was time to release the poor wolf, and John prepared himself. He could live or die, and there was only a flimsy piece of plywood that separated the beast from himself. The wolf actually hated the plywood, biting at it. John set up the trap and tried to be careful. Finally, John freed the wolf's paw from the trap. It took one moment for it to spin and fly away. The three men were happy because the wolf was free, but John was still safe. They were congratulating each other when they remembered the video recording. His friend had taped the entire event, so they viewed the video to see it all unfold once again. The wolf looked at John for a brief moment before running back to the woods. Was it his way of showing appreciation? Regardless, John made the best choice. John let the poor wolf out of the trap, showing his feelings for creatures. While they fed off wild animals and livestock and could be obnoxious, they do it to feed and frighten predators away. John knew that wolves sometimes attack domestics, but he was also in the wolf's territory right now. Why do people find it hard to keep wolves away from their farms? Fences aren't enough because the creatures can dig and jump. Plus, there is too much open space to fence it all in. In fact, wolves are very smart and can jump up to 6 feet in the air. John was a trapper and used baited animal traps to attract creatures. Urine and food are excellent for coyotes, with meat and dog food being the most popular. However, wolves also get attracted to such bait, smelling it for many miles. John had been trying to catch coyotes so that they couldn't harm pets and farms nearby. However, he sometimes caught other creatures than what he meant to. For example, he once caught a red fox, using plywood to free that animal too. You can probably bet that John's caught almost every animal in the wild. Sometimes, smaller creatures are the most aggressive. One time, he caught an American badger, and they can fight black bears. John was very cautious that day because they're fearless and dangerous. Badgers kill pets, cause harm to other animals, and destroy farms. They tend to have a bad odor about them, claws, and sharp teeth. However, they were common in Wisconsin, and John realized their meanness. Trappers use special traps to keep the badger populations controlled. Do you ever think about animal trapping yourself? You need a hunting license to do it, even if you're protecting your property from destruction or doing it for fun. Plus, you must be cautious so that your hand or foot doesn't get caught in your trap. Fake fur is highly popular now, so you may wonder why there is still a trapping industry. Such animals get hunted for other things than their fur. People can use the entire body, with the carcass being compost or bait. Fur trapping and trading have occurred since the 1700s. Trappers ultimately went east to make money by selling their wares. Plus, everyone wants something different and unique. Because the West had been overrun by creatures, it was a huge deal.